Okay.
Okay, so we are going to work with the master and not with the version 1.0.
Oh yeah, we could do either one of those. I have master here.
Yeah, I mean, okay.
Yeah, yeah. Go ahead, Ricardo. What were you saying?
Yeah,
there?
because sometimes I think it's a little bit more stable.
Yeah. Okay, that's
Yeah,
a
I
good
think it
idea.
could be more stable just to use the other one.
Yeah, that sounds good. So we're starting in this repository, parity tech substrate, and so the branch, I think it's called v1.0, right? Yeah, there we go. Okay.
Yes.
So I'll switch over to that. Oh, I'll have to. Okay, so v1.0. Oh, let's see. I have local changes here. Oh, that's because I was building the node as I did that. So I got okay. Let's just kill this build. And I will just stash all of this stuff. Okay. 1.0. Okay, cool. So on the 1.0 branch, and so the sort of like recommended and well-trodden path here is to run a script called init, and then to build the WASM binaries, and then to build the like the local native build. And so the one distinction I was going to mention is that we have this folder called node and then another folder called node template. And these are just like two different, basically two different runtimes that we can build. And the node template is basically set up so that you can start building your own runtime. It's actually what the Substrate Kitties tutorial is based on. It sounds like, Ricardo, maybe you already have most of the node built or yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. Are we going to use the template now, the node template?
Well, that's kind of what I'm asking. If I was planning on node template, but if it turns out that people have full node mostly built, then we could just switch on the fly here.
Okay. Yeah. I also have it, the full node.
You do have, okay, cool. So then let's go with.
But if we are yeah, of course. If we have the full node, we can do the same. Just run separate nodes and everything. Okay.
Okay, yeah.
That sounds good to me.
Okay, cool. So we'll do the full node. So the command I just ran was this one, /scripts.init, and that basically like sets up the latest Rust tools that we need. And then the next step is this /scripts/build.sh. And then it looks like maybe not too much of that's going to have to recompile in my case. Cool. So maybe does anyone else want to take the screen share for a little while?
I'm basically doing the same, so
okay,
it will look the same. It's compiling everything now.
Okay.
I just doing the init part myself.
Oh, nice. Okay, cool. Oh, Jeremy, I wasn't sure if you were going to be able to follow along today. I thought maybe you were.
Yeah, I'm trying. I'm just like hopping around like screen to screen, just like.
Yeah. Nice. Yeah. So how's it going for you, David? I think you might be muted, or we're having a tough time hearing.
Yeah, I can't listen him. But he doesn't look to be muted.
Yeah. We can't hear you.
Oh,
Oh, there.
hello?
Oh, yeah, perfect.
Okay. So I'm downloading Rust at the moment, the new nightly build and the last one.
Nice. Okay. All right, cool. Good. So we'll probably just have some compile time, I guess. Yeah, I'm at the same time I'm doing the same build up on a cloud server because you never know how much trouble your local area network might have, like, you know, with ports or whatever. So just as a backup plan, I'll have one that's up in the cloud.
So, one question. The Polka.ui that you linked in the tutorial, is that like the official one? Or how? When do you use the Substrate UI? It's like, I think Gavin wrote the Substrate UI. And when do you use them?
Yeah, that's a great question. We could dig into that while we're waiting for code to compile here. So the one that I linked in the tutorial is this one. It's called it's called apps usually, I think. And this is something so I'm kind of new here too, so I might not get all the history exactly right, but I think this one has been around for a little bit longer and is supposed to be like a super general purpose way of interacting with Polkadot. And because Polkadot's built on Substrate, it just also works really great for Substrate. And then the one that Gav coded up is, let's see, is this one. Oops. I wonder if it's called that. Oh, YJ.
Yeah, I think it's
Oh yeah, I got it.
007, something like that.
What was that? Oh, sorry.
Yeah,
I didn't say anything.
Oh, okay. So yeah, so we're comparing like basically these two interfaces, right? And I think the apps one will generally be maintained to work with the common SRML modules maybe. And this one I know is the one that Sean was recommending for like building quick and dirty stuff. I'm not really totally clear on the difference though, because another thing that I know is this Polkadot apps one. It actually has, so there's like you may have noticed that this user interface like automatically detects what modules are in your blockchain. Like if we do the full node, we'll have a bunch of stuff about democracy and staking, I think maybe. And then if you do like the node template, like you do in most of the tutorials, then you don't have all those tabs. So it can kind of like, you know, detect what's in your runtime and display the apps accordingly. And then there's this one in particular called 123 code. And it's really just like a basic template to build on, and it looks pretty straightforward to build here too. So,
Josh, real quick, after the Rust installs, what was the other command you use? The script command?
yeah, right. So the first one is init. That's the one that does the Rust stuff. And then the next one is build.sh.
Gotcha.
Yeah, and that'll build the WASM part. Okay, cool. So in this terminal I'm showing now, I think I just finished building the node template. And so, oh no, wait, what did I just finish building? Maybe the whole node. Let's just see. I'm simultaneously learning a new shell that I'm not as familiar with. Oh yeah, that was build. Okay, so that did all the WASM stuff. So then I can cargo, build, release, and that'll build the native one. And up here on the cloud, I'm building the WASM still. So maybe we can actually take a look at this UI for something to talk about in the meantime.
A comment. There's actually a third that's called Substrate Lite client.
Oh, that's right. Hang on one second.
Free now, huh?
Hey, YJ.
Huh?
The YJ, one of the guys that works a lot on the Lite client, is here right now. If he comes back in, maybe he'll step in and tell us about it for a second. I don't know that much about that one. It's what I know is it's like basically a desktop app that bundles together a user interface and a Lite client. Yeah.
Kind of confusing when you look into it. You have like 3 different UIs, and you're not sure like which am I supposed to pick or.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the Lite one is kind of designed for end users, and the other 2 maybe are more for hacking on. But it turns out we have this one hosted, so we don't even have to install it to play with it. Hey, do you want to give a brief overview of what the Lite UI is or is for?
Sure, I think I'm pretty out of context for would be there right now.
Yeah, that's okay. Here. Come sit here. Okay. Yeah, so I'm just gonna. So the question was, we're basically waiting for stuff to compile, and the question in the meantime was, what is the difference between this UI and the one that Gav uses, the bonds or whatever one, and then the Lite UI?
They all pretty much achieve a set of the same things, but like the history, the genealogy of it is like the Bond UI came first because Gav wanted some way to demonstrate stuff, and there wasn't that many resources to build the UI. And then from there, Jakob built the apps UI, which is the one you're looking at right now on the screen, and that's just meant to be, or like these days became more fully fleshed out, but that was originally meant to just be like showcasing every single method that's available to RPCs. So the focus wasn't UX and UI, but now it's kind of moving towards that direction. But that's, so the apps UI is generally considered a developer tool for power users to either build your own runtime and use this to quickly test things out, or just literally use this as your Bootstrap and MVP UI for whatever your runtime might end up being. And the Lite UI that we're building right now is less so of a developer tool and more so as the Bootstrap UI, but also focused towards the UI and UX for people that are not power users, that are generally going to be nominating people to validate for them, generally going to be delegating other accounts to make decisions on the network for them. So the Lite UI is definitely meant for people that are not necessarily as technically well versed. Yeah, so with that, you wouldn't even be running your own node, and the actual app will run with a Lite client bundle whenever the Lite client is actually ready. Yeah, so that's the basic difference between the 3. Generally, they do more or less the same things, but in different ways.
3 UIs actually share any code.
Oh, David, we can't hear you again.
Can you hear me now?
No.
Hello.
What if we try to mute and unmute? That seemed to do it last time.
Hello.
Oh, no luck.
You can just open the door.
Yeah, do you want? I guess maybe I can just go without headphones. Do you want to just come out here? Yeah, well, we've got 2 remote. Yeah.
So, do the 3 UIs actually share any code, or are they completely?
They almost don't share any code. Apps and Lite UI share more code than Bond than anything else. Because Bond is definitely just like, it's not sharing any code very much. Yeah, they're pretty separate projects, but Light UI, I guess, would be the more similar to apps. The big difference between the Light UI and the apps is pretty much like how it goes about organizing the data. So apps is just mostly higher order components. So there's a lot of nesting going on, and it can get kind of complicated. Whereas with Light UI, we're focusing completely on observable within subscriptions to that directly in each component, so we don't have all this create component hierarchy.
I think I'm going to check the UI code.
Okay. That's good.
All right, cool. Ricardo or Jeremy, does one of you guys want to check in or show us what you've got going on?
Right now, I'm at 62 of 106 for the build part, so still going.
Yeah, I'm running the cargo build. It's like in 400 for the 800. So yeah, probably still a little bit more time.
Yeah, chugging along. Okay, cool. So, well, here's a maybe a logistical question about these kinds of meetings then for you guys. One pain point in the development process is definitely the long build times, right? And we experience that in like in-person workshops too. So, how realistic do you think it is to like, if this is going to be a regular weekly call where hopefully we get some like recurring memberships for people coming through or whatever? Do you think it's practical to come up with like, hey, here's what we should try to achieve in advance, or what would be a good way to communicate some of that stuff?
I would say, well, the first question, do we know when, like, for instance, sort of doing the builds, and that will be done where it can be more efficient?
Yeah, that's something I really want to happen. So some thoughts that I have about that are, the more incremental your build is, like the less stuff that's changed, the faster it gets. But as we're seeing now, sometimes even, going 1 week will cause a lot of like rebuilds. So that's not great. But another thing that I'd really like to do is decide on, like, I was thinking this would happen when 1.0 came out, but I don't really know if the time frame for that is still going to be super fast. But I was hoping we could get like packages, like install this Debian or this RPM or something like that.
Or I wonder if it'll be, no, wait, never mind. I was going to say it would be beneficial just to make, do what you're kind of doing, making a remote server or a remote node, and then just everyone connect to that. But I don't think that'll work out as well. Because for me, like, if we want to do the workshop route, again, like a lot of the time is just building it. So I think if we can just like minimize that or figure out a good play on what we can do with that, that'll help out a lot.
Yeah. Yep, I agree.
Yeah, but I think that's not so bad because I usually do like the cargo clean just to clean everything and start over, because usually you just want to have everything built on from top to from the bottom. So yeah, it's probably good. It's okay just to build everything, but I don't know. For example, if you plan like to have these regular meetings, it could be like just give some instructions like, please just follow until step 1, 2, or 3, and then we will continue from there on the call or something like that. Just prevent losing so much time.
Yeah, exactly. That's what we're trying to do. Yeah, so like this one, this was the first one, and it was a little bit like me just making it happen to sort of start to get the idea in people's minds. But today our events coordinator at Parity approached me and was saying, like, she'll have like a recurring Zoom invite with a calendar invite so people can follow along. And then once we have those kind of good communication channels, hopefully that'll be an easy way to just say like, hey, if you're planning to attend tonight, try to do X, Y, or Z. So I think moving forward, it will probably be able to smooth that out a little bit.
Yeah, while this compiling, I'm just like trying to fight GitHub. It is not seeing my latest changes. It's starting to make me mad.
Do you want us to help with anything while we're just compiling? Give us a screen share.
Yeah, sure. They're also on the desktop.
Yeah, I have like some doubts in general. Like for example, what's like the easiest way for Substrate Inc? Like what's the easiest way to use some JavaScript library and interact with the smart contract? Because so far I have seen only like from the Polkadot.ui you can go to the contract section and just call on some functions, or like is there a way like in Ethereum Web3 just to code some backend and interact with smart contracts, or not yet?
Yeah, you're talking specifically about smart contracts, like ones that you might have written with Ink, right?
Yeah, in this case is about Ink, Substrate Ink.
I think the state of the art with Ink is that there's not that smooth of a developer experience there yet. I know at the Sub-Zero conference like 3 or 4 weeks ago, that was I think like the first public demo they did of it. So that's pretty new still. I'm curious, Ricardo, did you see there's a recording of that workshop they did there though? They made like some simple contracts if you're looking to learn about Ink in general.
No, I think I haven't seen that one, but what I have done there is like follow the tutorials and what else? Yeah, and also code some subtrading smart contracts. But yeah, my problem is like, okay, if I want just to do some JavaScript code, like how can I interact without using the Polkadot.ui? So yeah, that was just my doubt here.
So that's something that I can put on my list of something to like prioritize in terms of writing that tutorial. That's one where I'll have a little bit of learning to go also, but I suspect that Sean might be ready to publish at least a basic tutorial on something like that. I'm just going to take a note.
Hey, Joshie, can I ask you a question?
Ooh, that sounds like Chris.
It is Chris.
Hello.
Sorry, I'm super late joining.
That's okay.
But I did
compiling code so far.
Well, I'm gonna have to just kind of lurk today because I'm not set up to actually participate. Yeah. Although I did get everything pulled down and built yesterday.
Oh,
yeah. But I had a really quick question. One, it was just related to the last conversation you guys were talking about, which was Ink. And just conceptually speaking, one of the things that you said to me early on was one of the sort of the philosophies behind Substrate and Polkadot is that each chain and each, I guess, subchain, I don't know, or parachain.
Yeah.
Basically is kind of purpose built to begin with. And it seems to me like Ink is more, if I'm understanding correctly, please correct me if I'm wrong, but Ink is more of like solidity in the sense that you can build just generic smart contracts and use them on chain. And I'm just curious, what's sort of the reasoning or the use case behind developing Ink if you're kind of supposed to build purpose-built chains to begin with?
Yeah, that's a great framing of the question and totally consistent with like my understanding of the narrative too. So one thing that I know is relevant here is that people have had this realization that like in Polkadot, you won't be able to have infinity parachains immediately. So I think that some of the motivation is like this. We want to be able to have some contracts that will interact or I should say like some dApps that will interact super easily with one another and share a lot of common blockchain features like a balances module or something. And so it might make sense to deploy those to the same chain because one thing that I learned recently is that there's going to be costs to having your chain mounted as a parachain into the Polkadot network. So I think it might be the case that some people want to just deploy their apps kind of like the old Ethereum way. And it's exactly like you described, writing in Ink and deploying to some Substrate chain is like super analogous to writing in Solidity and deploying to Ethereum. So I don't really know exactly like if that vision is shifting or if it's more of just like, we want you to have options or exactly how that's going. But
yeah. That totally makes sense. Because you said there's a cost and the cost is you basically have to win the auction. There's going to be a finite number of Polkadot parachain slots, and you have to pay to win one of those slots, right?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay, cool. That totally makes sense then, in the sense of just having that flexibility to be able to do sort of just generic contract writing. Are you aware of anybody that's, well, let me ask it a different way.
Yeah.
Is the intent then that every parachain will essentially support Ink? I mean, I guess I understand that it's obviously up to the parachain creator, but is the intent that most people will just support it so that others can use their parachains in a generic way?
I don't think that's the intent, although as you said, it depends on each parachain's author. You know, the other thing it kind of depends on is because there's going to be market forces about which parachains actually fall directly onto Polkadot. You know, maybe if those are the most popular ones, they'll just have the most backing. So I don't really know how that will work out. But I can tell you a little more about the architecture there too. So there's these runtimes are frequently built up out of runtime modules, and there's a particular runtime module called it's either called contracts or smart contracts, and it supports basically like the foundational pieces necessary for writing smart contracts on a substrate chain. And so the way to enable it or disable it would be to include or not include that contracts module. And then it just as another like interesting point on the contracts module, it doesn't need to be the case that there's just one language like Ink. Ink is just kind of like the Solidity, like the first one that's gaining a lot of popularity, probably for good reasons. But like I don't think I don't think that it'll be the only smart contracting language that works on that contracts module for super long.
Got it. Can I ask you another really, I think will be a quick question, just since I hate joining in the middle and then like possibly derailing everything you guys are doing. So please tell me no, I can't.
Do a quick check-in real quick. Ricardo, how's your compiling coming?
Yeah, I'm done.
Okay, cool.
I'm ready.
Okay, nice. And David, are you at the terminal right now? How's yours coming along? Okay, maybe
got a little ways to go on my end.
Go say your question, Chris, and we'll either take it or start it.
So I'm like drinking from the fire hose, so I have it's hard for me to chase everything down myself, and so I apologize if this is not a good use of your time. But can you like give me like the really quick what's the purpose of the xtudy module?
Oh, totally. Yeah, that's a great question. So it's named after the xtudy command in Unix-like environments, and basically what is when you use your governance to include a feature where there's a king who has like the final say, or queen by default.
I see.
Yeah, right. So you can change things about your runtime on the fly. Now, usually that's wrapped with some kind of governance that resembles something you could imagine, democracy or something, or quorum.
Sure.
It's enabled. But one simple model is xtudy, which is basically like there's a key specified in the Genesis config, and that he can make unilateral changes to the runtime.
Got it. And so I presume that's probably more intended for like developer chains, and that most public chains would have some governance model that replaces it.
Totally.
Okay, got it.
Or it's a red flag if you're investing in tokens on a chain that has two, you know.
Okay, so then now just so I can catch up with you guys, what do you have a config.json that you're using for your guys's what you're doing right now?
We're to the point where we're about to create one together.
Okay, cool. And what consensus algorithm are you using for this chain that you guys are setting up?
So we just built the full node. So in this, I'm basically in the Substrate. I've cloned the repo here. And there's two pre-built node configurations. One is the full node, which is super similar to Polkadot node. And the other one is the node template, which is really stripped down and is designed for people to build on top of. And we built the node right now, which comes default with Aura block production and grandpa finality.
Okay.
Yeah. So Chris, I know you've asked me questions about consensus in the past, and we're starting to have a pretty good understanding of grandpa in the other consensus discussion. So I can brief you on that too, at another time if that's still interesting.
Cool, that would be awesome. Yeah. Okay, I will stop asking you questions now. That was thanks for indulging me to let me catch up.
No problem.
Halfway through.
That's great. That's no problem. So okay, so we're at the part that you were asking about actually, which is where we're going to generate this chain spec. And so we all have freshly built target release Substrate. And instead of, so like a super common thing is to run it with --dev, which is where you have one authority and the block production is not that interesting. Like one person just creates them all. And so what we're actually going to do today is Substrate, build spec is what it's called, build spec. And we're going to start by modeling this after what's called the local development chain, which is set up to have two validators, Alice and Bob. And we're going to modify it to have our own keys in there. So, okay, so I did build spec based on this one, and then I'm going to output it to private spec.json. So this is just going to be our like private chain spec. And so I have it there, and let's just take a look at it. And it's this super huge file, and most of it is just runtime. But what we're going to modify is these keys right here, consensus authorities. And so we're each going to generate a key, and we're going to put our own keys in here. So if you did the build along with me, which I know at least Ricardo did, we should be able to do this. Generate. Oh, whoops. Oh, come on. I think I have that installed somewhere. Okay, there we go. So obviously, if we were doing this for anything more than like learning, I wouldn't be showing, like some of this is my secret information, but I'm going to throw this key away as soon as we're done. So I'm not that worried. And so I guess at this point, what we each want to do is run this command. The -e means add 25519, which is what we're using for validators, and then generate just tells it to generate a command. And I think that we can also do this, subkey -e spec. And that gave me the same information as above. So if you know your seed, then you can recreate all of that other information that goes along with it.
Throw all your keys the first time. That'd be like me.
Yeah. Jeremy and I have both in the past messed up this exercise by losing our key seed partway through the process. So I'm just going to keep mine in my terminal here, and then what we'll share with each other is just our public addresses. So maybe let's everybody take a second and just paste that into the chat. Okay. Are you using okay, cool. Whoops. Okay. We'll see for this one. Cool. Okie doke. So I always struggle to use Zoom when I'm also, or like I don't know how to get the chat while I'm sharing this screen. Maybe like this. Okay, so there's my public address, and then if everybody else just wants to drop one in there, then we can make that file. Oh, nice. Okay. And David, are you still following along with us?
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah. Yes, we can.
I'm a little behind because I was talking to the guy.
Okay.
Yeah, so.
Okay. Cool. Cool. So maybe try to start up this first one with just our two keys here. So I'm just going to edit that file. And it is all right. Oops. Backspace. And oh, I shouldn't have closed the Zoom chat. That's a rookie mistake. There's Ricardo's key. Okay, that looks good. I'll save it and quit. And Ricardo, did you make those changes along with me in that file, or do you want to share this file that I'm about to create?
Yeah, I haven't done those changes. Okay, so let me get there. It's
well,
you are running the late.
Yeah. Well, okay. Well, one thing I
Okay.
want to just point out real quick is that I'm not sure if it works if we each build our own file, because I think that WASM blob that represents our runtime might not be reproducible. Like if you built in a different path than I did, that might make our WASM blobs look different.
Yeah, that's a good point. I don't know. I think that if we have the exact same the same, how it's called, I forgot the name. Okay, let's say we use the same chain specs.
Yeah.
We will create like the same node. So
Yeah.
that should not be a problem. But
Okay, cool. So are you saying you want to try it out and see how it goes if we each create the file on our own?
okay, yeah, but not yet. Just,
Yeah. You want to take a picture for that?
Okay, so you're using the substrate binary, or we are going to use the node template?
Yeah, we all just built the whole substrate one, so I think we should use that one.
Okay, so let me just generate my custom specs.
Oh, here, I want to let you take the screen share so we can see how that looks a couple different times.
Sorry, if I what?
Do you mind sharing your screen so that so that the
Okay, yeah, sure.
presentation captures that process?
Yeah, give me 1 second. Okay, here, what I'm going to do. Let me share my screen. Okay, where's the option to share your screen? Yeah, found it. So I want to share screen. Okay. So I'm sharing now my screen. Substrate here. So in here I have my
Oh, that's a great idea. I should have shown that on my screen too.
Yeah, just see that we have the same version.
Yeah. I'll check. I don't need the screen share back, but I'll just check.
Okay, and then
Or I am building master.
Okay, so yeah, because I don't have the node template built on, so I think that's, I cannot generate this stuff.
Yeah, nice. Oh, I think you want to not use the node template in this case because we decided we're going to use the full node to run through it today.
Yeah, but where's the Genesis file in this case? Where can I find it? It's.
Oh yeah, you can generate it with that build spec.
With this command, with the target debug, with this one?
Yeah, with that one, except we want to not do the node, we want to change it to just be substrate instead of node template.
Okay, but to generate, I think that I need to compile the node template. Otherwise, I don't have the binary.
I also made mine from the regular node, not from the node template.
Let me see. Okay. Yeah, but why it's saying that I can, that there's no so file or directory? I think that the unless.
So Ricardo, I think one thing is that yeah, I guess I don't know why we built the debugger release. I think I built release today maybe.
Yeah, I think I built the release. That could be the reason why there's no debugger.
Yeah.
Okay, so let me just.
But I think
cargo.
I don't think we need the node template here because I also generated my change spec from the full node.
Okay.
I think we might be able to just do like target, release, substrate, build spec.
Okay. Let me try that one. Release, substrate, and build spec from here.
Exactly.
Oh, okay, great. Yeah, that works.
Cool. Oh, that's
okay,
great.
So yeah, there is. So let's just open it. Yeah, open spec. Come on. fuck, stupid thing. Open. That's Substrate. And then we have here the spec, custom spec, this one. Okay. So
it's kind of common that these make text editors slow down because of that ginormous WASM blob. I think this file is like a couple megabytes maybe.
okay, so let's try run VS Code to be better. So let's just open Substrate in this case. Substrate here, open. And probably this one will work better. Yeah, this thing is slow. Let's quit. Okay, so in this case, move on. Okay, so it's the authorities, the ones that I need to change.
Yep, exactly. And then I don't know if this matters, but I put the 5HK key first and then the 5F4 key second.
Okay, so okay, and then local testnet. I think that we need the boot nodes.
Oh yeah, you could make that empty, I think probably, or it's just gonna, you know, try to boot from this node and not find it. It won't be disastrous if that.
Yeah, because I will not be able to connect to your node.
Oh, but we're gonna run with the boot nodes flag because I can't tell you what my node ID is gonna be yet because I didn't run the, I won't get that address, that like QME4 until I run my node.
Unless you use the node key for now, you can, I think you can use the node key option and just generate, yeah, let me.
That's a good point. Yeah, you're right.
Yeah, so we can always know what's gonna be your address, your
Right.
P2P address.
Yeah, I've never tried it that way. Do you want to try it that way? We're a little short on time, actually. It's the top of the hour now. Maybe you want to. Well, we've got some options. We could either end it here and say we'll go and try it next week, or since we're at the point where we're about to maybe try to connect, we could just try to follow the instructions through and then try again next week. What do you think?
Okay, yeah, that sounds good to me. Yeah, we can probably coordinate a little bit better for the next time, and yeah, just do it better.
I'll propose something. Maybe Sunday, George, if you just ping everyone, and we just all compile just the day before.
Yeah, that sounds like a good idea. I think I'm going to try to have Carol Ann set up basically it'll either be like a Riot channel or an email list or something, or I don't know, maybe she'll even do it on Twitter where like we can get a reminder like, okay, hey, reminder, node testing is going to happen in one day. Either do this homework in advance or show up half an hour early for some real-time help or something like that.
Okay, yeah, that sounds good. Also, we can like put the idea of having a static lib P2P address just to always like know which is our address. So yeah, probably that.
Ricardo, it sounds like maybe you know more about that than I do. I think it's the case that like if you know your node key or something, then you know deterministically your address, or how does that work exactly?
Again, to know your address?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah, so let me, for example, I just created an issue on Substrate just about that problem. So it's git github.com/plan. Okay. So, for example, okay, in this case, what I'm showing here is like how you can start your node with always, it will, if you always put the same node key and the same node type, it will always generate the same libp2p identity.
Oh,
So,
okay.
so yeah, we will always know, for example, if I run it like just now, this is gonna be always my libp2p identity.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so yeah, we can probably just work with something like
How
that.
did you generate that key, that BF9F key? How did you create that?
Okay, I use this one also. I mean, I think it only asks like 32 bytes, so I used subkey and I don't remember if I took like the public key or the seed. It doesn't matter that much. You only need just to have a random 32 byte string. So yeah, that's all.
Okay, cool. So like if I was going to be the boot node in this exercise, I could do that step in advance, and then tell everyone else who's
Yeah.
like, here's, even before I run my node, here's the address that you can expect.
Yeah, that's right.
Way to do this. Cool.
Yeah, that could be very helpful. Also, I think that we will need to know your public IP address.
Yeah, right. I can find that though, definitely.
Yep.
Okay,
That sounds
good.
good to me.
Well, guys, let's call it here for today. I think this was a pretty good session for the first one ever, and I'll look forward to being a little more organized and seeing you guys back next week.
Okay, cool.
All right, cool. Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Thank you. Bye.